consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Hello, my loves. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I am so honored to have you choose to listen to my podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please do leave a review. Take a screenshot of this podcast photo and shout me out on social media so that more people can get to listen to this episode. On Instagram, it's Bold Sexy Warrior, and on Facebook, it's Rosalyn Fung Coaching Bold Sexy Warrior. It would truly mean the world to me for you to take a few minutes to share and review this podcast, as I would love to get it out there more into the collective. So, woo, you ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be such a fun episode today. I want to ask you this. Have you ever thought about how art can activate you? Activate your energy, your chakras, and activate you into bring you more life into your business, more soulgasms, because that's what I want for you guys. Those of you who love and are moved by art, you're in for a real treat. And if you don't really know much about the art world, you're also in for a treat. It wasn't until I met my guest today, Stephanie, that she really made me think differently about art. So this episode is really for you too if you're scared to take the leap of faith. If you are an artist, you're in the creative world, and you're scared to take the leap of faith into your dream business. Boy, oh boy, Stephanie has a very powerful story to share with you. So, Stephanie Hassein is one of my dearest and closest friends. This episode is actually really special to me. You guys will hear the energy of how we jam with each other. We WhatsApp with each other every single day, and we tell each other our own stories and what's happening. Some of it we'll say, maybe not safe for radio. So Stephanie is an intuitive artist with not only a background in art, but also in energy work, crystal healing, and with psychic abilities. Stephanie Hassein uses all her abilities that she has combined to create one-of-a-kind artwork that is infused with white light energy and allows the energy to be diffused from the painting so that her clients can elevate and awaken their divine within. So let me tell you guys how I met Steph really quickly, because it's a really powerful story. It was probably about almost 3 years ago now. I was heading into a networking event called the High Vibe Tribe, and it was a local event in person, and I was a little bit late, and as I walked in, I just saw Stephanie. Like, no one else stood out to me. And it was in that moment, just like, if you could hear energy, it was like the angel singing, like, whoa. And we just had this energetic eye contact exchange. I was like, I need to know her. And, your energy introduces yourself. So that was so powerful. We ended up connecting and chatting for like a good 2 hours after the networking events, and have become really good friends since. And so she's joined my tribe. So excited to have her. So without further ado, Steph, come on in.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Roz. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, girl, I'm so excited that you're here. Please share with us your journey. I know you've been through a lot of different interesting career paths, and I just really want people to hear how freaking bold you are and just how much you really trust in yourself and you take yourself to that next level. And of course, I know that doesn't come without challenges in itself.
It's been it's been an interesting journey, that's for sure. I only started painting 6 years ago. I had never painted before, but my journey started so much longer before that. So when I was a kid, I was always really drawn to anything artistic. But my thing was singing and writing. That's what got me through my hard times as a child. Like I didn't have a super easy childhood and teenage years. And singing and writing is what got me through those times. It was never drawing or painting or anything like that. And when it was time to apply for, like, after high school to apply for something else, I looked into the music programs, but I just had like a natural gift, but it was so difficult to get in that they required you to have other credentials, you know, having taken lessons and all that. So I knew there was no way I'd be able to get in. But I remember at the time, and I was young because I grew up in Quebec, and my last year of high school, I was still 16. And I remember thinking, I'm like, you know what? I don't care what kind of artist I'm going to be. I just know that I have to be an artist, and then I'll be happy the rest of my life. And to have that just deep knowing thought at that age, right? And I wanted to apply to art school and just take like all kinds of different like art type of classes. And my parents wouldn't let me because they're like, art is a hobby. It's not a job. Pick something else. You know, you never make money at it. And you know, the whole starving artist story they were trying to put onto me. And at the time, what was important to me was happiness and following my passion, following my soul. And I remember saying to them, I'm like, I don't care if I'm going to be starving, if I'm going to be broke, I just want to do what I love. Of course, now I don't believe in the starving artist myth anymore, thank goodness.
Yes.
But
we'll talk more about how you shifted that too.
Yeah.
Later.
But they wouldn't let me take art, and it took me 2 years. It took me until I was basically old enough to make my own decision to then I was able to take art, and I didn't even get to complete the program. But it was the best year of my life when I took art. But because I had to quit, I was then like angry and upset with life, and I don't hold grudges, but I was mad. And I sold all my art supplies and did nothing creative for over a decade.
Wow. Wow. I actually didn't know that about you. Wow. And I just want to share like how deeply important and confirming that is, that when we are in doing the thing that lights up our soul, like so much joy comes from that, because we're literally vibrating in that energy. And for me to hear you say that you put that away and then fell into darker emotions, really I think confirms how important it is that we are doing the thing that lights us up.
Absolutely. I ended up just completely, other things that happened in life as well, I ended up completely losing myself. And looking back, it's like I knew more who I was, like in high school and in college. I was more myself than I was in all of my 20s.
Wow.
It's like I knew back then, but then I, ended up being far away from it. And I was a mess. And then I had a spiritual awakening. And what happened? I always had abilities as a child. Like I could predict things and, but I had, when I turned 18, I had predicted someone very close to me passing away, like my first love. I predicted not only that he would pass away, but I predicted how he would pass away. And so when that happened, when I was 18, I literally said out loud, if that's what I have gifts for, I don't want them. And my intuition had dimmed a lot after that. And now here I was about 33, 34, I want to say. And I just had this really random moment. And I think that was my soul. It was not my brain, because these words came out of my mouth and my brain was like, what did I just say? But I was standing in my kitchen and I just, all of a sudden I said out loud, I'm like, I want my gifts back. I'm not scared anymore. And literally within a couple of weeks, things started happening. Things started coming to me. And that awakening and those things kind of coming back led to me feeling drawn to start kind of a spiritual based business. And it started with selling crystals, and all of a sudden I could feel their energy, and I was doing research into them and their properties. And then I took Reiki, and then I learned how to hone in on my psychic abilities and started doing soul sessions. And I was loving it, and I was feeling like myself in a way that I had not felt either in a long time or ever. I definitely was feeling an alignment in that moment. And as I was doing all these things that I loved and focusing on them as a business, I started seeing images in my mind of these paintings. And even in art school, the 1 year I took, we'd never got to painting. I had drawing classes, I had sculpting, but I didn't have painting classes. I had never painted. And I knew a spirit showing me, you're going to make this. And my ego was like, I don't know how. So I kept ignoring the images that kept coming up. And they were always these images of not just paintings, but mandalas on canvas. And I was like, that's intricate. Like, I don't know how to do this. But it kept nagging at me like a little brother poking you in the back.
Can't ignore that.
And I mean, let's be honest. You can attest to that, I'm sure. If you're ignoring your intuition and spirit wants you to listen, that nagging, that's what it feels like. It won't quit. So about 6 months.
And louder.
And about 6 months later, I just kind of threw my arms up in the air and I'm like, oh, fine. And totally like our ego response. Fine, I'll listen. And I went to the art store. I got some canvases. It took me a while. That first one was a bit difficult because I was very much in my head, but I managed to create it. And when I was done, now looking back, I look at the design and I'm like, ugh. But I was so proud of myself because it was what I saw in my head for 6 months. And It came out exactly like that. And I was so proud of myself. And I shared it on Facebook. And I'm like, I wasn't thinking I was to sell it. I was just like, look, I made a thing. And I was just proud of myself. And a woman that I considered a mentor when it came to like spirituality and crystals and all that, she commented and within 25 minutes and told me she wanted to buy it. And if that wasn't a sign, I don't know what was.
Wow.
But I continued to paint after that, but I treated it as a hobby. It was like a side thing. It was something that, I just kind of threw in online in my crystal shop as well. But I was so hyper focused on these other things I was doing. And as time progressed, I ended up really burning out from doing the sessions. And looking back, I realized that I was meant to accumulate this knowledge, and I was meant to kind of flip the importance, like what was truly should be the star of the show, what really was supposed to be important. But all of those things that I accumulated over time came into play into how I create my art and the way that my art has developed. They've been crucial along the way as well. But one day, as I was really starting to burn out from my business, I woke up one morning and Spirit was like, go to the bookstore. And it was so loud. And I just went. And this book screamed at me. And honestly, I recommend this book for anybody who's looking to really figure out what their purpose is. But the book is called Light is the New Black by Rebecca Campbell. And she talks a lot about, it's phenomenal. she talks a lot about how there's so many clues from even your whole life, from your childhood, that will tell you, it'll lead you to what give you those clues to figure out what you're meant to do. And honestly, I was about a third into the book. I wasn't very far, and I just had this deep aha moment. And the thought that came to me was, if I never do a session ever again, how would that make me feel? And my immediate reaction was like, meh. And my next thought was, if I never get to paint again. I was barely done hearing or feeling that question, and I immediately felt like an elephant sat on my chest. And I actually recorded myself having these thoughts out loud, and I went straight into a panic attack. Like, my heart was hurting, I couldn't breathe, I started crying. It was like panic, like my soul was suffocating at the thought of, I can never paint again. And that moment was like, why am I treating it like barely a side thing, when clearly my soul is just screaming that that's what it wants to do? So after that, I closed my business. I just went for it. I closed my business, got a full-time job. In my mind, I was going to work for 6 months at that job, quit, and just be an artist. And that's not what happened. I worked for 6 months. The job sucked me in. I was burnt out from that job, not happy, all of that. And I realized that it's very difficult for me to be on creative mode when I've been on work mode all day. So I would paint not even every weekend. It would be like randomly sometimes. But I still definitely painted more than I had painted in a long time. And then COVID happened, and it became
We're
the
gonna
biggest
pause
blessing.
right there.
Okay.
And leave people on a cliffhanger. COVID happened, and then we're gonna be like, oh, what happens? What happened next, Steph? So we'll be right back, you guys.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Life is a flow, and enlightenment is simply harmonizing with the way life really is. Then you find that life is effortless, benevolent, and free of all suffering. Hey everyone, this is GP Walsh, and I want to invite you to my brand new radio show that's launching right here on OMTimes Radio called The Flow of Enlightenment. I've been a spiritual teacher for decades, and my greatest pleasure is being able to share with you these deep and highly practical spiritual ideas. So join me in The Flow every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and let yourself be transformed.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Okay, welcome back, love. So Steph left us on a cliffhanger. So with your story, COVID happened. Mm-hmm. So then how did that impact your next steps?
It became everything for me. Actually, it's weird. I have emotions come up right now because I'm so deeply grateful. And I know it's been a hard time for a lot of people, and it's not been easy. And, I'm aware of the heaviness that comes with it. But for me personally, it was the most incredible blessing. When COVID hit, I had been very burnt out from my job, and not just like the stress of the job, but really what was burning me out was just not following my bliss. And when all of a sudden I found myself without work, I realized how sick I had been. I had anxiety that I was aware of the anxiety, and it literally disappeared overnight by not being at work. But I had sleep issues, and I had some major like digestion health issues, and it took me 2 months to get those back to normal, 2 months of not working. But that time that I had, I started treating that time as sacred. And I started just really enjoying like quiet mornings and drinking coffee and reconnecting with myself and with spirit. And I started like, just being more grateful for life and meditating more again. And I started painting more again. And my abilities amped up throughout that because I was so present in the moment and so, tuned in and tapped on and connected. My abilities were just came back really, really strong. And one day I was working on this painting and things had amped up a lot. I started, I've always been told and always could sense that I was infusing with them with energy, but there was something that did happen during COVID. That level amped up. I can't even describe how many folds.
Oh, we will talk about what happened when I walked into your art room. You guys just hang on. Like, we will talk about that. In fact, there's also like a Facebook and Instagram video of me actually walking to your art room for my reveal of my own commission that you made for me. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, sorry to interrupt, but like,
no, it's okay.
I just wanted people to know, like, it's not just any energy. We're literally being activated. Like, I have never been this activated by art before. So we're just going to put that as a little side note that we will go further into
come back
later.
Yes. But yeah, so that level of energy in the paintings definitely just super amped up during COVID. But it's because I finally had the time for me to be in a better space and be more connected. And then I just poured myself into painting because it was fueling me and making me so happy. And I just kept painting and painting. And I was just loving this time off. And when it was time to go back to work, when I got called, that was rough. I had to do online training the week before going back. And, for like the COVID protocols. And I was on page 12 of the 68-page manual, and I had a 2-hour-long meltdown. And if you would have been in my living room, Roz, you would have seen a grown woman having a childlike tantrum. I was bawling my face off, and I'm pretty sure I was just stomping up and down, yelling, I don't want to. That was how I felt.
And I bet as their listeners are listening, I bet there are some, you're not alone in that, Steph. I bet there are some people who are like, yeah, girl, me too.
Right. And the thing is that when you're coasting and you've been doing something and you don't love it, and you're just you got on that sort of like hamster wheel at some point, it doesn't even feel like you're running anymore. It's just kind of taking you with it. But taking that break and really coming to myself and then having to jump back into that, all of a sudden there was no ignoring the level of discomfort. There was no ignoring the disalignment. And it was the most emotionally, energetically, mentally, and physically horrible feeling. And I went back to work and I lasted 2 whole weeks. And spirit was not quiet. at first it was like, my health issues came back and I had to leave early.
Ooh, I remember when that happened.
And I think I only did like 1 week, like actual work full time. And then the second week, on the Monday, I had to leave early because I got really sick from eating lunch. Like I had my lunch late, but I got really sick. I had to leave. And the next morning I was going to go to work and my anxiety was so through the roof. I was like, I can't do it. And I heard Spirit say, just stay home. And I was worried. I'm like, I can't afford to miss a day. But I thought, okay, it's one day. I'm going to figure this out, because my anxiety was more strong than my thought of the need of the money for that day, sort of thing. So I called in sick that day. And funny enough, I got a call from an old client saying, hey, can I get a session with you? So I'm like, oh, well, there's my, paycheck for the day. And that evening, my boss contacted me and she asked me if I was feeling better, if I was going to come the next day. And I heard Spirit say, take the rest of the week off. And I panicked. And I was like, I can't do that. Like that immediate like fear of like, I need the money. I can't.
Really, Spirit? Really? Are you serious?
Yeah. I was like, I can't do that. So I told my boss, I'm like, yes, I'll be in tomorrow. And an hour later, I was laying on the couch watching TV and I turned funny and I felt this intense pain. And what I didn't realize was that I had just popped a rib.
I also remember that. Oh my gosh.
That was the craziest thing. And so I tried to go to work the next day and it kept getting worse. And I lasted 2 hours into that shift and I take myself to the doctors and she's like, you dislocated a rib. You need to, take the rest of the week off. Here's your note for your boss. And on my drive home, I heard, told you so. I'm like,
mean Spirit, but also very kind.
I mean, they do have a sense of humor as well. And it's like, it is what it is. They did tell me so.
And you didn't listen.
No. And I took the rest of that week off. But you know what? Magically, it just kind of went, it healed itself by the next day. But
make this shit up. Seriously.
You can't. But I took the rest of the week off and then I ended up getting another of my past clients asking for a session. And then that Friday was the most mind-blowing thing started happening. Because at this point, I think by the Friday I started getting these weird feelings about going back to work, but I was really trying to ignore them. At this point, I'm still very much I was told take the week off and I'm off. And I don't know what it was. Oh, my paycheck had come in that Friday and it was smaller than I expected. And I literally, you need to watch your energy when you wake up in the morning because it could set the tone for the day. And I woke up and I logged into my online banking and saw my very small paycheck and almost went in fear mode right away. Something came over me and I heard, don't worry, just get up and go make coffee. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, okay. And I make my coffee and I come in the living room and all of a sudden I just blurted out loud. I'm like, hey, universe, you want me to take the week off? Then I want to make $1,000 of sales in the next 7 days. Thank you. And then I just went on with the rest of my morning, and I don't even know where it came from. It just came out of my mouth. And I had some things to do and I had written an Instagram post that morning. And around noon, I grabbed my phone and my Instagram had blown up. There was all of these messages, all of these likes. And I'm like, what happened? There was a message sitting in my inbox. And this guy, this amazing person in the States messaged me and purchased $920 of paintings that morning. And I had just asked for $1,000.
You cannot make this shit up once again.
And I had never sold that much at once. So to me, that was this moment of here, believe in yourself. And that's when things really took this next level of the shift for me, because over the weekend, I was through other people receiving these messages that were just very clear of, this is my purpose. This is my path. This is what you're meant to be doing. And by the Sunday, I knew very clearly Spirit was trying to tell me, quit your job. we got you. And I was trying to talk myself out of it, and I called a girlfriend, and as I'm talking, I was really just I needed someone to hear me think out loud, basically. And as I'm talking to her, trying to talk myself out of it, I talked myself into it. Something happened, and I was just like, this is what I need to do. And I quit my job like the next day, and I never looked back, but it was the quote of like, I actually can't think of the quote right now, but it's kind of like, it's not wait for things to line up to then take the leap of faith. It's take the leap of faith, and then
things
will show you then things will line up. And that's, I never would have done it that way ever, because my whole
don't. I want to even highlight that. How many of us actually do that, right? How many of us actually, first of all, what your story so far has been really sharing about, I really want the audience to hear, is listening to our guides, listening to our intuition, listening to our guts. Some of us might be babies I know I am, like I'm in terms of like opening our psychic abilities and being that in tune with spirit. You have that beautiful gift already. And so those who have that gift, and we all have those gifts, we just need to develop them more. And so even me personally, I'm in process of opening my psychic abilities more, and they're getting really strong. And the more I listen, even if my ego's like, that doesn't make sense. So I'm asking you listeners to really pay attention to the little inklings, and then they will get louder and louder and louder. And just like in Steph's story, if you're not listening to spirit, something is going to happen to make you listen. Right? Like you can't be moving around with a broken rib. Right? So, and we don't wish that upon you, of course. But
no.
I think that when we are really that aligned and in tuned in our relationship with spirit, we can kind of laugh about it.
Yes.
I know, like for me, right? Like there's certain things that happen in my body that help me go, yeah, spirit, I know that's you. I know. And I have to laugh about it, even if it hurts physically, right? So I totally get that. And so I hope that as you listeners are really coming along the journey of Steph's sharing, that you're really receiving this message right now. Listen to your guides, listen to your intuition. It never leads you astray. And then the other really important piece is, it is really freaking scary to take the leap of faith. Those of you who have been listening to my episodes, I did that as a psychologist, successful private practice into a new world of coaching. That was the scariest thing for me. And I have to say, and I think it's safe for you to say too, Steph, or maybe speak for you, that right now as we're here sharing this, we both look back and we would never regret anything. Like we are living our abundance right now.
Yes.
We are living our dream life right now. And it's because we bet on ourselves. We decided to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, everything has led me to this point. Had I decided to be an artist back then, I might not be doing the kind of art that I'm doing now, because when I had my awakening, being lost, losing myself, and then having my awakening and finding myself and finding my spirituality and amping my gifts up, that's become, and I know we're going to get into that, but that's become a huge part of how I create my art. So I can't look back and regret having been mad and selling my art supplies and not doing anything for 10 years, which then led to losing myself. When I see that was all part of, it got me here, and it would look very different if it wasn't for that. So I am grateful. But when I had that last massive, it's time to go now, you got this, we got you, that moment was like, okay, that felt like, I was just about to turn 40, and I'm like, I don't regret. I get that I've not gone to this point yet. But I was like, if I do wait another 40 years, I will regret this. So I'm like, now it's like, I need to do this now.
Yeah, there's nothing more than just facing that. I love those questions you ask yourself. Like, if I never did this again, how would I feel?
Right. It's exhausting being in my head, by the way.
That question right there is really profound. And to listen to our body, right? Which is where we'll really get the inklings and the answers, because that's how we listen to our intuition.
Yes.
That is so huge. Wow. So what I'm going to do right now is I want to, like, you guys, we're going to go into commercial, but when we come back, I want to tell you how Steph's art helped me manifest 3 high-ticketed clients in less than 2 weeks. So I'm so excited to share this story with you guys. That's how powerful her art is.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Okay, welcome back, my loves. I can't wait to share this story with you. So Steph and I are in a WhatsApp group with other soul sisters, and Steph shared a photo of one of her latest creations, and this would have been during COVID, so a few months ago, like the beginning of COVID, right, Steph?
Yep.
And so I just, as soon as I saw it, it was like my sacral chakra and my like heart was like, oh my God. Like it wasn't even not negotiable. It was like, I need that. I need that.
You felt it.
I felt so hard the energy from just the frickin' photo that you sent over WhatsApp. And I'm like, what's going to happen when I see the real thing? And so you guys need to go check out her art. It's Stephanie, Stephanie Hassein, Hassein. Did I spell that correctly?
You did.
Okay,
yes.
good.
That's my Instagram handle.
That's her Instagram
Yeah, Stephanie.Hassein.
As soon as you just, I'm not responsible for the soulgasms that you're going to be having. Okay. Actually, I won't take credibility. So, but literally, I was like, Steph, how big is this painting? And she said, oh, it was a really small one. I was like, no.
Yeah, it was like 8 by 10 or something.
And it just represented how I felt about life. Like literally the sacral chakra with the fire and the gold energy and the orange and it was so delicious. So I was like, I need one. I need it to take up my whole wall. And so tell us, like, as soon as I want to share this story. So just seeing her art and then thinking about, like, not even, like, again, it's non-negotiable for me. I'm having it. It's mine. And I knew it was going to be a stretch for me to, because it was new for me to purchase and invest in art. I think at this point I've never invested more than $500 in arts. And I'm like, I know it's going to be investment, but the way I feel, I know I need this. And so if you guys haven't listened to my episode with my husband, Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank, the love story number 2, you need to go listen to that because we actually share that in details about this process. And so, long story short, because you'll go listen to that episode as well, I was just like, okay, it's mine. I embody the feeling. I embody the feeling of it being mine, and also what that piece of art was going to do, this energy working through me and for me. And within less than 2 weeks, I manifested 3 high-ticketed clients. And like, they just appeared out of nowhere, right? But that is part of what happens when you expand your energy and your vibration. You call in what you've been intending to call in. Mm-hmm. And it was just so powerful. So, Steph, upon the reveal, which you guys need to go look on her Instagram account or even mine, Bold Sexy Warrior, there is an episode, an IGTV episode of us with the reveal of me walking into her art room. I couldn't even handle it. Like, there was so much energy going through in that art room. We were like, I just couldn't contain it. So you guys will need to go watch that episode on our Instagram. But Steph, please tell us, like, what is the your creative process? How is that your process different when you paint specifically for your clients or when you create other paintings?
Well, there's a huge part of the process. It's more what I channel. The process itself is the same. So, and I feel like I do need to share that because it's probably quite different. So when I create a painting, I always start with a crystal meditation. And whether I know what the colors are going to be for the painting in advance or not, I'll be guided. Because I used to own a crystal shop, so I have a large crystal collection at home, and I'm guided through my house, and I'll be very specifically guided to grab certain pieces that will match the energy that is meant to go into the painting. So then I come to my meditation spot in my home, and I go into a meditation, and I will feel the energy that is meant to go into the painting. I will see the colors. Sometimes I see the whole painting right off the bat, like down to the details. Sometimes I'll see maybe a little bit of it, like the composition. Sometimes it's literally just energy and color, and that's all I'm going into the studio blind other than that. So I'll do this meditation when I feel like I've received all the energy and the messages that I'm meant to receive. Then I go into the studio and I set up, and at that point I'm also usually guided to a song, and it changes with every painting. Typically sometimes there's songs I've never heard of, but I'll hear maybe a word or two, and then I'll look it up, and then I find the song, and I'll end up playing the song on repeat throughout the process. And it's funny, like, this is how spirit works for me, but these songs, if they have lyrics, they're always positive lyrics. There's never anything with any negativity. And then, so I'll play the music on repeat, and when I start painting, I basically go back into that meditation sort of. I end up in this trance-like mode. and I paint, and I don't know how much is me painting, how much is spirit painting through me, if it's both, if it's one or the other. I can't tell you. It just it happens. My energy ends up being crazy when I paint. Sometimes it hurts my body and I have to take a break for the whole rest of the day. I've had working on your piece was like it was physically painful. It hurt.
Not because I'm a painful person, right?
No,
So make that
but
clear.
I felt like I was like plugged into voltage that was turned on high, and it was running from one hand through my chest, out the other hand. My head, I felt high as a kite, just like from just the frequency was so different than what my frequency is, and it was just like it was a lot, and so it can be very taxing on my body. But so yeah, I had to do it in smaller doses for your painting because you have such a high vibration, and so I'll the music on repeat, and I go into the trance-like mode, and then me or spirit or both, we get the painting done, and it gets infused with energy that I can physically feel through my body. So that's how I do the paintings. The difference when I channel a painting for someone or when I just create a painting because I want to create a painting, when I do a painting for someone like I did for you, I channel your soul and I get the colors of that really represents the energy of your soul, and the energy of your soul goes into it. And the energy in the painting as well is not just your soul, but it's also your potential, what you're meant to, who you're truly meant to elevate into, what you came here to do. So that's what ends up going into a channel painting for a client. When I do these other paintings, there's not a soul in it, but there's still so much energy. I've done paintings where the theme was, one was like changes, like that energy in that painting I know is to help whoever's going to own it, to help them adapt through changes. There's another one, it looks like a goddess of the ocean, basically kind of painting. And I named it Uninhibited. And it's really about like letting go and being free and just really stepping into who you are. But with all of that ocean energy as well, there's a lot of like, if you have a little bit of a hard time to go with the flow and you tend to hold back, that energy is in there as well. There's not a soul in the painting. It's not representing a soul, but it's representing still very, very strong energy. So that's a slight difference between the two.
And even though it wasn't created specifically for a person, it's like the painting chooses the person.
Yes.
When I came to your studio and I was looking for a gift for my friend for his housewarming, and I was looking through all the different pieces you had created, we knew which ones was like this one. And I didn't know why, but energetically it just felt right. And then that's when you told me this one is all about the heart chakra and abundance. And what song were you playing when you were channeling it?
I was playing Taste by Tyga.
Yeah, I feel like that would be so for him too. So I didn't know that, right? And so just people can feel the energy of your paintings, even if it wasn't specifically commissioned for them. So powerful, Steph.
Yes.
So powerful. Wow. And now my clients would see this when I'm on Zoom calls, when I'm doing Facebook Lives, or people in my soul tribe. Your painting's always behind me. On online summits, it's behind me, and it just really supports the container so much of my the offerings I'm doing my activities of that day. It just literally, it's behind me right now as I'm recording this. It just fills my office with this gorgeous energy that I feel inside, and it gets activated even more to that next level. And I am a very powerful manifester, and that's why I teach on this podcast. But I really feel like, and I never thought about art this way could be the same. I have two of your pieces, one in front of me, one behind me.
And
so literally it feels so high vibrational to be in my office, and it's really shifted the energy in my office since I put your pieces in there.
That makes me so happy to hear that, because that's the goal. That's always the goal, is to add, and it's like, of course, I've always been creative and I want to add beauty into this world, and art is such a great way of doing it. But also, let's not forget, I used to do these soul sessions with people, and this desire to help others and make the world a better place, that comes from as far as I can remember, from early childhood for me. And so I'm still doing it, but just in a different way. And to get to, do that through that energy and bring beauty into their space, but know that it's energetically elevating them and helping them, that makes me so happy. But, speaking of that painting that's behind you when you do your calls and your recordings, I've had people that know you message me about it, and I've seen comments also on some of your things. When you got the painting, I saw a lot of comments, or received a lot of comments of oh my God, this is so Rosalyn. People who know you, they look at that painting, they get it. They're like, oh my God, this really is your soul in a painting. This is what it makes sense.
It totally is. And even people who don't know me and I'm on a summit and they're the host, they're like, wow. Immediately, as soon as I start speaking, they can feel my energy. They're like, that painting is so you. I'm like, So what I'm going to say is, instead of me doing a guided meditation, I'm just downloaded this right now. I'm going to invite all of you to go and check out Steph's art on her Instagram, or her Facebook. Steph, can you let us know what your handles are? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a light language activation. So when you go to her pages, go and look at the art and then play the light language activation that I'm going to be delivering right away, so that seals in the feelings for you. So what are your handles, love? How can people get closer to you, learn about you, purchase from you?
So I'm currently working on my website, which will be my name, stephaniehassein.com, but it's not quite ready yet. But in the meantime, my art is still available. Everything is posted on Instagram and my art page on Facebook. So my name. It's Stephanie, STEPHANIE .Hassein, HASSEIN. That's my Instagram handle. And the same spelling, my Facebook is Stephanie Hassein Art. So Hassein is HASSEIN.
Beautiful. So my loves, I want you to go there as you're listening, as long as you're not driving, of course. Bring it up.
Yes.
And just feel the energy of her art. Look at it. Just let yourself be an open, receptive space. And let her art speak to you. Let the energy infuse you. Let the colors absorb and soak in you. You will notice what you feel called to really zoom in on. You will notice that there's going to be certain pieces that will really speak to you. And notice the sensations in your body. Notice how your soul gets stirred. And as you're noticing, breathe in. Kurati kira tua, kira tu kira tua. Pura kira tu kura ti kia, bara kira ti kira kura tia kura tia. Pura kura ti kia, pura tia. Breathing in how your soul is feeling awakened and stirred and activated. Kura ti kira tu kura tua. Pura kira ti kira tua. And it's okay if your logical mind can't make sense of it. It's not supposed to. Just like light language. Only your soul can understand, and let this art speak to your soul. Kurati kira tu kura tu, let it activate and amplify your life's purpose. Let it activate joy. Kurati kira tu kura tu, and these feelings of expansiveness, of inner peace, of love, of divinity. Kurati kira tu kura tu kura, kirati kira tu. Taking your time to soak this in. Feel the light that is within you. Feel the love, the unconditional love. Love consciousness, abundance consciousness. Let these colors speak to you. Let the textures speak to you. You will notice all these different ways in how you see these pieces of art in a way that only you will see. Thank you so much for being here, my love. Thank you so much, Steph. I am so honored that you came on today. Thank you, love.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope that you go and soak in this beautiful art by Stephanie Hassein. Enjoy, my loves.